Well, hello racing fans, and a warm welcome to our Gallop TV Preview Show for Hollywoodbets Kenilworth on the 3rd of August. That's this Saturday, and I trust that you're well. Well, it's my first preview meeting for Gallop TV Preview Show, so I trust that you are going to have a wonderful new season. Of course, the season started on the 1st of August. We know most of the individual winners, and we await the Equus champions on the 15th of August. But I bid you all the best for the new season, the season ahead. May it be a successful one for you, the valued racing fan. As always, Graham Hawkins is in the hot seat, and today is literally in the hot seat. We don't have him online. Graham, nice to have you in studio today. And just looking back on the past season and now going into the new season, for KZN Champion season, it was a huge success, wasn't it?
Wonderful, wonderful champion season 2024. What a race meeting to bring the curtain down. We saw some incredible performances. Dave the King certainly ended the season on a high. Sean Veal has started the new season on a high, recording a double on the 1st of August for the Snaith stable. So, yes, last season is now history, consigned to the history books, and we look forward, as you've just mentioned, to a wonderful new season ahead of us.
Okay, let's get straight into it, Graham, and hopefully the weather plays ball, as we've come to know in the Western Cape that it's been inclement weather for a number of weeks now, but everything should get away at 12:25, and there are 9 races carded, so race number 1 doesn't form part of the exotic. So we bring up the field for race number 1, which will begin at 12:25. It's an open maiden over 1,400 meters, Graham. And this is just a guide at the time of recording, which is 24 hours before, a day before. Number 3 at 14-10, horse number 4 at 8-1, number 9 at 5-1, 12 at 5-1. 14 is now a scratching, and it's double figures the balance. I don't know if you got things off to get us off to a flyer here, Graham, with a selection or suggested bet in race number 1.
Before we get into that, just a word about the weather. There's been no rain for a couple of days and no rain forecast for this meeting. The rain does return on Sunday. That's if the weather forecasters have got it right. In the first race, I think one of the better bets on the card, D's number 3, La Pulga. There's lots to like. I think he's going to appreciate the step up to 1,400 meters. Nicely drawn in gate 3. So I'm not really looking for anything to beat number 3, La Pulga. So if you're looking to get off to a winning start with, if you're not into taking 14-10 and all to comes, then certainly the trifecta, the quartet, I'd be happy to bank a number 3, La Pulga, to win. But there are a number of others that are worth a mention. Number 4, Mind Map, showed improvement last time, is equally well drawn, showed better pace, and the extra couple of 100 meters won't be a problem for him. Number 9, Terminator, ran his best race last time out. It was in an open maiden, but he's a late maturing 4-year-old son of Trippy from the Andre Nel stable. So he should now continue to improve, and he should be a factor. Interesting run is number 10, Cosmic Rhythm, has his 3rd run after being rested and gelded, but his 1st run for the Marshall stable. So, he could be anything, but he faces a tough task with 61.5 to carry. And because this is also an open maiden. And the one that can improve, we saw a big improver from the Snaith stable, Let It Be Said, that we gave a lot of airtime to, that improved significantly on its debut on the 1st of August at Hollywoodbets Durbanville to run 2nd. Note the support first time out for number 12, Express Yourself, was backed in from 4-1 to 12-1, from 4-1 to 2-1 rather. He's drawn out at gate 12, which is not in his favour. So I'm expecting a lot of improvement from number 12, Express Yourself. But number 3, La Pulga, for me, one of the standout bets on the card, and I'm hoping certainly to get off to a winning start.
Okay, just summarizing, Graham likes number 3 as a banker, possibly in your trifectas, quartets, exactas, whatever bet you are playing, and horses to consider 4, 9, 12, and the joker of the pack could be horse number 10. We move along to race number 2, which is the start of the bipod. It's fillies and mares over 1,400 meters. We'll bring up the field. I'll give you the betting as a guide. Number 2 at 11-2, 3 at 5-2, number 4 at 7-2, 5 at 9-2, 6 at 9-2, and 8 Japanese Rose is an 8-1 shot. Graham, it is the start of the bipod, and I looked at it and I thought that maybe number 3, Princess Izzy, looks like the right horse. And then I took down the betting, and I wasn't surprised to see at the top of betting boards.
Not surprised to see at the top of the betting boards. The key form line here is the 25th of June when Enemy Territory beat Princess Izzy into second. Fun Zone was third. Monashada was fourth. School Policy was fifth. And there was only a length and a half covering the first five. I do respect the chances of number 3, Princess Izzy. Enemy Territory, though, is a filly that's done me well. And she's now a 5-time winner. We've been on her at the right time. She's only gone up £2 for that. I think the victory is more comfortable than the winning margin suggests. So I'm going with number 6, Enemy Territory, again to confirm the form with number 3, Princess Izzy. But having said that, Dees, as that last form line shows with a length and a half covering 5 fillies past the post, they're all in there with a shout. School Policy number 2, Fun Zone number 4, Knockout number 5. Even Monashada is a 10-1. Flatters to deceive sometimes, but hasn't been all that long with Lucinda Woodruff, and on occasion shows glimpses of real high quality. So it is a trappy middle stakes for fillies and mares over 1,400 metres. It's a trappy start to the bipod. I'm in the camp of number 6, Enemy Territory. I will certainly back her up with number 3, Princess Izzy, but I'm not certain just those two are absolutely safe to get us through the bipod. So I think you need to hedge your bets here. It's a lot more open, perhaps, than the betting would suggest.
Well, this could be a nice quartet to catch. Just one horse from my side, Miss Margaret, number 1, who does enjoy the softer conditions. Possibly a nice roughie. Could be in double figures for those trifectas and quartets. Race number 3, place accumulator. 1,100 meters is the distance, and you need to get on by 13:35 if you want to play the PA at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. Number 1, Riverstone, 9-2. Number 2, Port Louis, 7-1. Horse number 4, we are jamming at 7-1. 5, Silver Falcon at 6-1. And then we got number 7, King Regent at 9-2. And Graham, we got a 13-10 shot here in Future Variety from the Candice Bash Robinson stable that I would say dominates the fixed odds betting market because it's 9-2 and better the balance. Is this a good thing for the place accumulator and maybe even the bipod?
Well, the place accumulator is my bet of choice for this race meeting, and I've banked at number 8, Future Variety. Hasn't run since February, could just need a run, does have 61.5 to shoulder. The form book suggests he's entitled to be that short in the market. Second to Thunderstruck, just narrowly beaten last time. Yes, he was in receipt of 3 kilos on that occasion, but nonetheless, this D's is by far and away the best race on the card. We've got a lot of those winter country finals, which are interesting races, but trappy races. From a quality perspective, this is the best race on the card. So I'm going with number 8, Future Variety, to make a winning comeback. He could just be in need of a run, but I'm sure he's going to go very well. He's that type of horse. He's a very imposing, long-striding, impressive son of Va. But I do think that number 1, Riverstone, there's been a bit of money around for already. He was priced up at 7-1 earlier in the week, was number 1, Riverstone. Serena Moodley flies into town. He puts up 1 kilo overweight, but still only carries 52, so getting 9.5 kilograms from Future Variety. But like Future Variety, Riverstone hasn't run since March, but we'll have to take his current fitness on trust. I think the fact that Gareth Van Sale has engaged Serena and flown him in from out of town is an indication that we're expecting Riverstone to go well. The other horse I want to give a mention to, well, there are 2 others I want to give a mention to, but in particular, number 5, Silver Falcon. He's unbeaten track and trip, but that's only from 1 start. He loves it this time of the year. He loves it when it's soft. He's an 8-time winner. He does meet Future Variety on level terms, which is not going to be easy for Silver Falcon, but he's had more recent racing, so he may have the upper edge in the fitness department. And what I've noticed again, and we mentioned this before, Brett Crawford and Justin Snaith have come out firing. I think it's easier to manage the conditions when you're training at Philippi as opposed to when you're training at Milnerton. It's not a clear-cut situation, but there does just seem to be that the Philippi trainers have the upper hand when the going gets tough, and I mean really when the going gets tough, as we've seen with all the winter rains. King Regent hasn't run since December, but he's all class and all quality, and he could run well fresh. But Future Variety still remains my top choice, but I do have healthy respect for number 1, Riverstone. Future Variety, I'm bankering the place accumulator because I think he will certainly, well, I'm expecting him to run in the first 3, but I would certainly add number 1, Riverstone, into the bipod.
Well, it looks like a race, as Graham mentioned, could be the race of the day. There's quality to speak about. A number of these horses that find themselves in the betting are coming off a break. How fit, well, ready to win they are, the race will tell. But when you look at his profile, Future Variety, the fact that he's run so close to Thunderstruck, a subsequent Group 1 winner in the computer form sprint, then he will keep you very interested. Number 8, Future Variety. Glam leaning towards that, but he does have healthy respect for horse number 1, Riverstone, who's also been rested. Race number 4 will be the big one, the jackpot. It's over 1,400 meters. Now we bring up the field for the first leg of this pick 6. Did I say jackpot? Apologies. It is pick 6. Race number 4, the big one, 1,400 meters. Number 3, 4-1. Number 4, 5-2. Number 5 at 6-1. Horse number 8 at 4-1. Number 9 at 8-1. And horse number 10 at 7-1. Yeah, you mentioned the stables of Snaith and Crawford, Graham, and they seem to dominate here because when you look at it, it's out of the 10 runners, they got 60% of the field.
Yes, it is a match, I would think, between Crawford and Snaith, and it's a trappy Class 3 handicap. Again, the key form line, but you've got to go all the way back to the 26th of May, so how relevant that form line is going to be 2.5 months later, I'm not sure, but there, Inamorare beat Future Turn, Charlie Croker, Solar Power, and Scalini there. That's how they finished. Magic Verse subsequently came out in a different form line on the 25th of June to beat Future Turn. So I think it's very competitive. You've got to go wide here. I don't think you can nail your colours to the mast. I'll single out the following numbers: 3, Future Prince, obvious claims; 4, Inamorari, obvious claims; 5, Future Turn, done enough to keep you interested. Perhaps not as strong as claims as Future Prince and Inamorari. I like a little bit of Magic Verse. Sean Veal, as we mentioned earlier, got off to a wonderful start when teaming up with Justin Snaith, and I think that Magic Verse is definitely a runner at the weights. Charlie Croker, not from the Crawford Snaith outfits, but from the Candice Bass Robinson team. Ideally course and distance suited. 7 of his 11 course and distance starts, he's been in the top 2. I've been waiting for Solar Power because I know he loves it when it's soft, but I get the feeling, and he seems well held by Inamorari. This is very much on the short side for Solar Power. I'm going to sit on the fence with Solar Power this time. Maybe I'll regret that decision, but I'm going to wait for him in soft conditions to go a little further. So my top choice would be number 3, Future Prince, ahead of number 4, Inamorari. Then number 8, Magic Verse, and then number 5, Future Turn. But it's a trappy Class 3 handicap. Again, their work programs have been interrupted. Perhaps the Crawford Snaith team will have the advantage here again, but they have more than one string to their bows, so it's not easy to nail it all down.
Very tough race, but the stables to follow are Brett Crawford and Justin Snaith, and Graham has given both those yards strong chances here with his comments for their respective runners. All the best. Leg 1 of the pick 6. Race number 5, jackpot 1, 1,400 meters. Number 1 is at 11-2. Horse number 3 at 8-1. Then we got number 9 at 5-2. Number 11 at 4-1. 12 at 7-1. And we don't have a jockey yet on number 13, Fly to Rio. And that could be a very good pickup ride for somebody waiting to see who Greg Enyon is going to declare. Graham, before you give your selections, I just want your comment on number 3, Like the Clappers, because I watched that last race and then obviously something was amiss there, Graham, and I don't know what it was for Like the Clappers, whether the horse, choked up, whether JP van der Merwe felt something wrong, because I see there's nothing reported there, but if I discard that run, and he's priced up at 8-1, Graham, if you discard that run and you purely judge him on some of his better runs prior to that, he's a horse that will keep you interested?
Absolutely. He's ideally course and distance suited. He's cracked a nice draw bar for that last run. He's pretty consistent. Interesting that he raced with the tongue tie last time. Normally that helps them, but maybe it didn't help him and the tongue tie comes off. But before we come back to this race, just to point out, you're mentioning the pick 6, so my bet of choice is the place accumulator. It's a tough pick 6 because race 5 is the Winter Country Champion Final Class 5. Race 6 is the Winter Country Champion 1200 Class 5. Race 7 is the Winter Country Champion 1200 Class 4. And then race 8 is the Winter Country Championship 1800 Final. These are all tough, trappy races. I'm going to nail my colours to the mast a little later on, and I'm looking to go light here, Dees, because you can't go wide in every race. So like the clappers, very much a part of my play. So in the pick 6 in the jackpot, I'm only going to go 3 runners, and I'm going to take my medicine. And in the place accumulator, I've only got 2 runners. Veronique ran a good race last time. That was at Hollywoodbets Durbanville. There she was drawn 9 out of 12. Now she's drawn 1 out of 12. I think she's going to turn the form around with Catalea. Catalea did this show a very good turn because at 25 to 1, we suggested that Catalea was the right horse in that race. But now Catalea is drawn out wide and Veronique is drawn 1. So I'm expecting Veronique to turn the form around with Catalea. We've mentioned like the clappers. I'm going to forgive him his last run. The tongue tie comes off, and that might be just the way he likes to race. The other runner that I think will actually win my top choice is number 9, Spirits Unite. Elder Demare rides for the Pet Stain stable. He rode it last time, went 3/4 of a length behind Gold Index. Gold Index reopposes here, and of course Catalea is in the lineup. One doesn't like to desert a filly that's really done you such a wonderful turn just a week or so ago, but I've got to be realistic. From gate 12, it's not going to be easy, but she'll certainly go into my trifecta and quartet play. So I'm going with number 9, Spirits Unite, to beat home number 1, Veronique, and number 3, Like the Clappers, but you've got to consider 11 Gold Index, and you've got to consider 12 Catalea if you're looking to play this leg a little wider than I am. And as we saw at Hollywoodbets Durbanville on Thursday, we haven't raced consistently in the Western Cape for the well-documented reasons. There are likely upsets along the way. We saw some rough results along with some favourable results. And I'm not dismissing the idea that that can't reoccur here, because these country champion finals over the varying distance are all for low-grade horses, which is a nice thing. They're racing for 200,000 Rand in each of those races. It'll be very competitive, and yes, you've got to have a little bit of luck on your side.
Yeah. You know, the unpredictability of catching that pick 6 on where the result is going to be. And if you get it right, well, you're in for big cash. So it's worth a stab, isn't it? Especially if there are so many unknowns going into the race. And that will be jackpot 1, race number 5. Just recapping on Graham's numbers, 1, 3, and 9 are the horses that he likes. And if you're playing wider, numbers 11 and 12. Race number 6, Graham mentioned the Winter Country Champ. 1,200 meters final over 1,200 meters. We'll bring up the field here and let's go to some betting. We'll begin with number 6 at 7 to 1, number 7 at 9 to 2, 8 is a scratching, 9 is 6 to 1. I've taken down the price of this horse here, Graham, number 10, Red Moon Rising. It's a 14 to 1 shot, and maybe you can give a comment on that. And then we got horse number 13 at 8 to 1, 15 at 8 to 1, and 16 at 7 to 1. I mean, before we touch on your selections, Graham, you know, I know that it's soft conditions. Horses, you know, are going to be laboring if they're unfit in that type of, turf, especially if it comes up soft. But number 10, Red Moon Rising, you had to be very encouraged the way the horse was finishing off last time out.
She was meant to have run the other day, and I was really on her side. She was 14 to 1 like she is today, but that was around the turnover, 1,400 meters, and that race meeting was abandoned. She's definitely part of my play. She's my third choice. I'm not going to forget about number 10, Red Moon Rising. I would have preferred an extra 200 meters, but the track might come up. Look, we'll have had 72 hours of solid sunshine. When I say solid sunshine, not a lot of heat around, but certainly sunshine. But I'm still expecting the track to be on the soft side. So Red Moon Rising, definitely part of my play. But this is one of those races, Dees. I think this is one of the more difficult races in the card. They're betting 9 to 2 the field. Royal Rhythm, who does bring nice form into the races at the top of the boards. But it is a Class 5 level. So, you know, you've got to look at number 5, look forward, despite the fact that she's still a maiden. She carries 53. She could be one of those surprise results that we saw happening and turn everything around. Number 6, Gravity. Number 7, Royal Rhythm. 9, Trey Schick, one of the principal runners in the race. We've discussed number 10, Red Moon Rising. I'm certainly not leaving her out. The horse that interests me most is number 13, On Board. She let me down really badly last time. But she raced for some other reason without blinkers on that occasion. And she absolutely took no interest. She wasn't even moving well in the race, and she was under the pump a long way out. The blinkers go back on, so that experiment of taking the blinkers off didn't work for her. But she is now a 5-year-old. She's a one-time winning daughter of Vercingetorix. She usually does enough to keep you interested. So she's a double-figure odds. Don't leave her out. 15 Grew of Ice. The last run gives her an obvious chance. Senora Victoria, probably also, like Red Moon Rising, would prefer 1,400 meters. She steps back to the straight course. Quite how she's going to perform, I'm not sure, drawn on the stand side. So for me, this is a very trappy contest. I've gone with 4 horses in the place accumulator, all of numbers 7, 9, 10, and 13, and I'm hoping that I'll survive the leg.
Okay, you heard it from Graham. That's his 4 numbers in the place accumulator. He thinks that you could get a rough result. He did mention number 7, Gravity, Lunga Gila's runner. Well, they backed this like they knew the result last time out. And if you're one of them, well, you'll be looking to get some of that cash back for running third. So do not follow up when you go for a horse. So race number 7, 1,200 meters, Winter Country Champ 1,200 final. Again, 1,200 meters, of course. And let's bring up the field as we have a look at some betting as a guide. Number 2 at 7-1. Number 5 at 9-2. Then we got horse number 9, Shifting Path. I think I just touched on that form line, didn't I? Yes, I did in the previous race for Lunga Gila's runner. So there's Shifting Path, Peak Burgess runner that won last time out. That's at 11-2. And then we move along to number 12, Lunch Money at 13-2. 14 is at 17-2. There is a form update here, Graham, that I'll just give the guys, whether the horse runs or not. Caberno Lesedi, number 13, ran 10th, beaten 8 lengths on the last day of last season, the 31st of August. So keep an eye out for that when it comes.
That was on the 1st of August.
First, was that the first? Oh, yes, it's written 31st. I got the book still. That meeting was more. Okay, that's it. It was the first.
The first shot winner does good.
100%, 50-1 shot. So that is the 8 lengths back. So we'll see if that horse runs. Graham, you were, very nervous about these Winter Country Champs finals because you said there could be trappy races. How many horses here?
As wide as you can go. I think races 6 and 7, I think this race is equally as challenging, equally as tough as the previous. Perhaps for better reasons. There are a lot of horses here with a lot of form. It's a slightly higher class. It's a class 4 handicap, and there are many with good current form and hopefully coming to the race spot on. All About Al has not been at his best in his last start, but clearly has claims over this course and distance. He seldom runs a bad race. Suti, obvious claims. Mighty Mac, better than his last. I think the horse that sets the standard is probably the 5-year-old daughter of Dynasty, number 5, Great Cat. She was a good winner over Girl Like Us last time out. And Brett has always, again, it's a Brett Crawford, Justin Snaith. Maybe they have an edge at Philippi. Maybe you don't believe that. But certainly the results seem to suggest that. Great Cat has under-delivered, generally speaking. Brett's always had a very high regard for her. Watch out for good improvement from number 6, Dancing to the Light. Has just done enough recently to suggest that he could win a race like this. Grand Bay, if you can catch him right, then you're doing well. I've never caught him right. He's not consistent, but on his day, he can run. Night Tiger, below best last time out. Loves his course and distance. I think Shifting Path, who's won his 2 of his last 3, I think he's taking a step forward in class. So I'm not really in the camp of number 9, Shifting Path, so I've bypassed him. Certainly as far as the place accumulator is concerned, perhaps not from a pick 6 or a jackpot point of view. Lunch Money, stable companion to Night Tiger as claims, but the horse that might be the right horse in the race if the draw doesn't adversely affect his chances is number 14, Night Bomber. Last time out, 1,400 meters, he didn't produce his best, but he comes back to this 1,200 meter track. He ran second behind Grand Bay, ran second behind Oliver. Those are not strong form lines. They're not great horses, but they're competitive horses. So if Night Bomber can produce his best, he might be the big danger to number 5, Great Cat. But here again, I've got 4 runners in the place accumulator. I'll give them to you in order of preference. 5, Great Cat, 14, Night Bomber, 8, Night Tiger, and 2, Suti. Those are my 4 in the place accumulator, but I'm not for 1 second suggesting that I'd be surprised if the winner came from outside of that quartet.
Graham hoping to survive here with 4 runners in the PA. A double up will be an absolute bonus here in race number 7. It's a race that you want to play a trifecta or a quartet. Race number 8, so we had the business end of the race meeting now when it comes to the exotics, and hopefully things are going to plan. We into the Winter Country Championship 1800 final, and we'll bring up the field and see how they're betting. Number 2 at 5-1. Number 3 at 5-1. Number 5 at 7-1. 6 is a 7-1 shot. Horse number 8, Prime Venture, Snate and Fanikak. There could be a combination to follow if you have a look at where they team up in those races. 9 is at 9-2, and it's double figures the balance. Now, the other races over 1,200 meters you mentioned are tricky. Is it the same here over this 1,800 meter trip, or we can possibly try and narrow things down here, Graham, or maybe you like a horse strong?
I do indeed. I'm going to nail my colours to the mast here. It is, again, not an easy race because obviously it is a handicap. But I'm going to be very strongly in the camp of number 8, Prime Venture. He came out to beat Shavut last time out by 3 parts of a length. I've said this previously when discussing Prime Venture's chances. Again, he was one of those horses who should have run recently, but the meeting was abandoned. But here we are. And I think he's a typical late maturing son of Silvano. Right early on in his career, Justin Snay said he thought he'd be a nice horse. I think the penny's dropped. There are a couple that have him beat at the weights, but I think that number 8, Prime Venture, is heading now in the right direction. I think the penny has dropped. So I'm nailing my colours to the mast here. Nap of the day in terms of the exotics for me. I think he's not quite as good a bet as La Pulga in the first. But you've got to go light somewhere. And with these competitive 1,200 and 1,400 meter races, I'm going to anchor number 8, Prime Venture. But it's not a one-horse race. You can tell me in a moment about King Pelly's and what you know about him. That's the other horse that Serena Moody's flown in to partner Gareth Van Sale, to partner for Gareth Van Sale. Ice Rain, I'm not sure whether she'll cope with the extra, but she's game and she's consistent. Ozark is a little bit better off at the weights with Prime Venture, should get closer. Twice the master, what you see is what you get. Baton Rouge is the one runner. I've never caught him right. He's won 2 of his last 4 starts. And he, on the form with Prime Venture, he has him nailed at the weights. But I just can't help but get the feeling that Prime Venture's got more to come. So at the weights, Baton Rouge is the immediate danger to Prime Venture. Norshan should be held by Prime Venture if you're taking that last run literally. But of course, as we mentioned, these training regimes have been interrupted. But Snaith Stable seems to be in good order. He's had a lot of winners in the comeback meetings. We've had a few comeback meetings, and the Snaith Stable have been ticking along nicely. So for me, all of my exotic bet hopes, whether you talk about the place accumulated, the jackpots, the pick sixes, etc., this is not part of the bipod, obviously. That will have closed already. All of my exotic bests, please rest with Prime Venture delivering the goods in the 8th.
Well, we need a banker, Graham, and you've given it to us, so we're going to roll in with you. Yep, race number 8, horse number 8, which is Prime Venture. It's been, I'm not going to say costly, because Graham has managed to try and narrow things down in the previous legs. Certain races he did suggest if you can go wider, do so. But yeah, you're going to minimize your spend in a big way. It's multiplied by 1, whatever your perm is costing thus far. With regards to Serena, I'll just give you some input. He was carded to ride last week Saturday, as we know, at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. That racing meeting was abandoned, and he was carded to ride. I think it was 4 runners for Gareth Van Zyl, and he did pick up a few. But this race meeting, on the other hand, was not planned. I suddenly looked, and I saw him carded for Gareth, and I picked up the phone, and I said, "What's happening?" And he said, "No, those races were supposed to be run last week. I'm going to run the 2 horses, and I'd like for Serena to come down." And so he's managed to get a few other rides from Brett Crawford, and also I see he's picked up a ride for Justin Snate and Mike Stewart as well. So that's how things happen there. It was not planned. It was all last minute, but he has been having a lot of success for Gareth Van Zyl. So nice to see him down in the Western Cape. And chatting to Serena Moodley, Graham, he hasn't been there for a long, long time. So he's looking forward to the experience.
hopefully hopefully he's got an Uber driver to take him to Hollywoodbets Kenilworth and he doesn't get lost.
Yeah, it's been a long time since he's been riding in that part of the world. Race number 9, where we close things off, 17:05. It's over 1,600 meters. We'll bring up the field and the betting. Number 2 at 5-1. Horse number 3 at 5-1. Form update for number 4, Diamond Rock. Well beaten, 13 lengths behind Radisho. And that was on the first day, as Graham mentioned. It's not the 31st of August. Horse number 6 at 7-1. And then another form update, Graham, for number 12, Fly Futura, ran 5th, 4.5 lengths behind Radisho. So keep an eye on numbers 12 and 4 when it comes to scratchings. And horse number 2, yeah.
Yes, he won the race.
Yes, that was the winner. Radisho won the race, correct. So we're going to take it that these horses run, Graham. I mean, because we're previewing the show when they're not being scratched. I mean, that's the only way to look at it, especially with this, stop-start with racing and the weather. And if these horses have pulled up sound, I'm sure the stables, I'm not going to let the opportunity pass by.
Yeah, so it's obviously key as to where the number 2 Radicchio runs and number 12 Fly Futura runs, because they form 2 of the 3 horses I've chosen in the final leg of the place accumulator. Obviously, as we sit here, the NHA haven't updated their records. We record this show quite early on the Friday morning prior, so there will be a penalty for number 2 Radicchio. Yes. His merit rating will go up. He'll carry more weight. He beat Chavut by a head, so I'm not expecting maybe 2 or 3 points at most. So if Radicchio stands his ground, he's clearly a runner. He won over 1,600 meters on Thursday. I think that Fly Futura, obviously we don't know, so this is just an opinion. Given that he's drawn widest of all here, given that he ran 2 days, I would very much doubt that Fly Futura is going to stand his ground. So I've gone with numbers 2, 3, and 12 in the final leg of the place accumulator. That's what you'll see on screen in a few minutes' time. But clearly watch the scratchings in particular for this race, because both Radicchio and Fly Futura have strong claims on form, but ran a day ago, and Diamond Rock didn't run well, so he might well pitch up again for just another gallop. The horse that ducked that race, is number 3, My Bestie. So they took advantage of the change of venue rules and scratched My Bestie on the 1st of August. So comes into the race with a good draw with Ashton Harris for Glenn Cotson, and Glenn Cotson's stable's been ticking along very nicely. So My Bestie, definitely one of the principals. Difficult to analyze this race without knowing for certain whether Radicchio or Fly Futura are going to run. So Bardolino, we know he's about as inconsistent as My Golf, but if he pitches up on the day, he can win and blow them away. Azuri, probably find this trip a little bit on the sharp side, although he won over 1,600 meters when shedding his maiden ticket. He's always given me the impression to go further, but clearly there's been an early market nibble for Azuri. Grant van Niekerk has struck up a wonderful relationship with Lucinda Woodruff. So they're worth the mention. Holding thumbs can improve, but I don't want to get too bogged down in the race, because I think the complexion of this race might change depending on scratchings approaching race time. But my early selections were 2, 3, and 12. So as we sit here, they would be my top 3. My next choice would be Bardolino and Azuri. Those would be my next 2 choices. My Bestie will have benefited from the fact that sidestepping the race on Thursday and coming here on fresh legs, and should go well.
Okay, I'm going to summarize, Graham. If 2 and 12 run, then it'll be 2, 3, and 12. That will be his selections. If 2 and 12 don't run, then it's going to be 1, 3, 9, and possibly horse number 6. Does that sound correct, Graham?
Perfect. That sounds absolutely perfect.
Okay. So keep an eye on the scratchings there. Graham, I'm going to hand it over to you, because you've mentioned throughout the show that your chosen bet for the race meeting is the place accumulator.
I have to be honest, I'm not brave enough to try and tip a pick 6 on this card, venturing into that sort of dead man's land. The jackpots are going to be tough. These races, these winter finals are tough races. Prime Ventures, of course, our key runner. So here's my place accumulator perm. The first leg, I'm taking my chances with number 8, Future Variety, who makes his first appearance for a long while. He's all class. Second leg, numbers 3, 4, and 8. Then numbers 1 and 9. We go a little bit light in that race. Third leg, 1 and 9. Then 4 horses in the next 2 legs, 7, 9, 10, and 13 in the 4th leg. 2, 5, 8, and 14 in the 5th leg. Bankering number 8, Prime Venture. Then 2, 3, and 12, as we've just discussed. Both 2 and 12 raced on the first. May not pitch up. 2, 3, and 12 at this stage, but obviously Bardelina and Azuri and Holding Thumbs as the cover if those horses come out. So check your scratchings right up until the last possible moment before putting on your place accumulators. I think the best bet on the card comes in the opener, number 3, La Pulga.
Well, hopefully that arrives and we can have some money to play the exotics. Thank you, Graham.
Thank you, Dees. Thank you very much.
Well, on behalf of Graham Hawkins, the Gallop TV team, myself, Dees Dana, and to you, the valued racing fan, if you're playing at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth this Saturday, the 3rd of August, wish you all the best. Have a blast, find all the winners, and hopefully it turns out to be a very successful day for you, the valued racing fan. Until we meet again, you take care. Salani Gashley.